To begin Mario Lemieux's career simulation at 19 years old, Lemieux's coming into the league at an 85 overall, and he's ready to create a new dynasty in Pittsburgh. Mario's having a decent rookie campaign, potting 14 goals and 43 assists for 57 points. Pittsburgh's also doing pretty good, finishing with a 43, 34, and 2 record, and they're taking on the Hurricanes in the first round. The Penguins are going to have no problem with the Hurricanes, but they are with the Rangers, and they're falling to the eventual Stanley Cup champs. Lemieux was fantastic in his first postseason appearance, scoring 2 goals and 15 assists for 17 points. Coming into this season, Lemieux still on the second line, but he wants to prove he's one of the best in the league. It wasn't the season I was expecting from Mario, but he's still putting in work. He's scoring 22 goals while picking up 43 assists for 65 points. Sadly, Pittsburgh isn't looking as good, and they're missing the playoffs with a 39, 35, and 8 record. And you know what else isn't looking good? This. 75% of the people that watch my videos aren't even subbed to the channel. Nah, some of y'all are bugging. What are you doing? Hit the button right now. I'm trying to hit 5,000 subs by the end of the year, and I can't do that if you don't subscribe. So hit the button and drop a like while you're at it. With Mario's rookie contract coming to an end, he's looking for the biggest payday possible, and with the opportunity to play on the first line, he has a chance to secure the bag. Lemieux's finishing his contract with a bang, scoring 26 goals and 53 assists for a career-high 79 points. However, his move to the first line didn't help out this team too much, as they're missing the playoffs with a 39, 35, and 8 record. In the offseason, Mario is going to sign a 5-year extension with the Penguins, and he's ready to get back to the playoffs. It was a very similar year for Lemieux, who was recording 32 goals and 45 assists for 77 points. A similar year for Mario is going to be a similar year for the team, and they're missing the playoffs with a 37, 37, and 8 record. It's the beginning of a new era in Pittsburgh. Crosby and Malkin have both left the team, and now it's time for Mario to step up. Mario probably could have done more, as he's only recording 72 points, consisting of 21 goals and 51 assists. But it wasn't totally his fault, because this team wasn't that great. They're missing the playoffs for the 4th year in a row with a 38, 36, and 8 record. It's only a matter of time before this team gets their stuff together and they get back in the playoff picture. But I don't think that's going to happen this season. Mario Lemieux was terrible this season, scoring only 58 points in 82 games, while Pittsburgh's having their worst season yet, finishing with a 32, 44, and 6 record. With only a handful of years left on Mario's contract, if this team continues to disappoint, he might be leaving sooner than later. For the first time in his career, Mario Lemieux is leading the Pittsburgh Penguins in scoring, with 24 goals and 48 assists for 72 points. With Mario leading the way, the Penguins are much better, but they're still missing the playoffs with a 45, 35, and 2 record. All they needed was one more point last season, one more overtime loss, and they're making the playoffs. This is our season. We're making it back to the playoffs. Mario knows what needs to be done for the Pittsburgh Penguins to make the playoffs. He's going to dominate this season, recording a team-high 86 points. After years of disappointment, Pittsburgh's finally back in the playoffs with a record of 47, 30, and 5. In a tough 7-game series versus the New Jersey Devils, the Penguins are going to fall in the first round. Mario underperformed when it mattered most, recording only 2 points in 7 games. With only 1 season left on his contract, Pittsburgh's going to have to pull off a miracle if they want him to stick around. In his contract year, Lemieux probably could have done more, only scoring 31 goals and 43 assists for 74 points. With a 49, 28, and 5 record, Pittsburgh's going to have to impress if they want Mario Lemieux to stick around. The Penguins would take down the Flyers in the first round, but they would have no answer for the eventual Stanley Cup champion Ottawa Senators in the second round. Mario was much better in the playoffs this time around, scoring 4 goals and 7 assists for 11 points. In free agency, Mario Lemieux felt he needed a change of scenery in order to win, so he left the Pittsburgh Penguins and he's joined the Chicago Blackhawks. Mario's first season in Chicago was a success, with him scoring 24 goals and picking up 64 assists for 88 points. He was successful, and only him. The Blackhawks weren't doing as well, and they're missing the playoffs with a 38, 30, and 4 record. Hopefully Mario's decision to leave the Pittsburgh Penguins doesn't backfire on him in the long run, because as of right now, things aren't looking too good. Lemieux's having himself a similar season, recording 26 goals and 57 assists for 83 points. And a similar year for Mario is going to mean a similar year for the Blackhawks, as they're missing the playoffs once again with a 38, 39, and 5 record. Meanwhile, Pittsburgh's the best team in the league with a 60, 19, and 3 record. I'm starting to think Mario made the wrong decision. Chicago has to get it together so Mario Lemieux doesn't regret coming here. And what happened next is something I couldn't have expected. Mario Lemieux, at 31 years old, is finally having his breakout season. He's recording a career-high 118 points, consisting of 37 goals and 81 assists. And with Mario leading the way, Chicago's looking fantastic, clinching a division title with a 52-21-9 record. However, what happens in the regular season doesn't matter in the playoffs, as the Blackhawks are falling in the first round. Lemieux did what he could, scoring 1 goal while picking up 6 assists for 7 points in 7 games. Even though he isn't winning a Stanley Cup, Lemieux's taken home a ton of hardware. He's winning the Art Ross, the Hart Trophy, the Lady Byng, and the Ted Lindsay Award. After the success this team saw last year, expectations are through the roof for Mario and his team. It was another great season for Mario, who's potting 21 goals while picking up 70 assists for 91 points. And with a record of 44-29-9, Chicago's ready to make some noise in the playoffs, and they made noise, because here we are at the Stanley Cup final, and the Chicago Blackhawks are taking on the Montreal Canadiens. When the series came to an end in a tough 7-game series, the Chicago Blackhawks are coming out on top as Stanley Cup champions. Lemieux was unstoppable, scoring 18 goals while picking up 20 assists for 38 points in 23 games, and it should be no surprise, Lemieux's also taken home the Conn Smythe Trophy. Heading into this season, there's one thing on everyone's mind: can this team repeat? There was going to be no cup hangover for Mario, who's scoring 21 goals and 80 assists for 101 points. Mario might not have had any cup hangover, but this team certainly did, as they're finishing with a 41-37-4 record. Repeat season ended pretty quick, with Seattle taking us down in 6 games of the first round. Lemieux did everything he could in the playoffs, recording 1 goal and 7 assists for 8 points. After an early exit in the playoffs last season, Chicago's looking to bounce back and make another deep playoff run. Mario's having himself another great season, recording 91 points in 82 games. Although the Blackhawks finishing with a very similar 42-33-7 record, they're looking for a very different outcome, and they got themselves a different outcome, because here we are at the Stanley Cup final. The Chicago Blackhawks are taking on the Washington Capitals. Sadly, in a tough 7-game series, Chicago won't be coming out on top this time, as they're falling to the Washington Capitals. Lemieux would be unstoppable once again in the postseason, recording 32 points. Last season, Chicago proved they can still compete with the best teams in the league. Now, I want to see them get Mario another Stanley Cup. It was a slower year for him, as he would finish second on the team in points with 33 goals and 51 assists for 84 points. With a 45-28-9 record, Chicago's looking to make it back to the Stanley Cup final. The Blackhawks were looking great through 2 rounds, but they would come up against the eventual Stanley Cup champion Seattle Kraken, and they would fall in 7 games of the conference finals. Mario wasn't his normal dominant self in the playoffs, picking up only 18 points in 20 games. At 35 years old, Lemieux's dropped to an 88 overall, and his time in the NHL is slowly coming to an end. But it doesn't seem like Mario is ready to give up yet, because age isn't going to affect him at all, and he's scoring 117 points in 82 games. This man's not ready to retire yet. With a 47-29-6 record, Chicago's ready to help Mario Lemieux get himself one more Stanley Cup. Similar to last season, Chicago's going to fall to the eventual Stanley Cup Seattle Kraken in the conference finals. Lemieux had himself a decent postseason, potting 7 goals while picking up 7 assists for 14 points. And it might not be a Stanley Cup, but Mario Lemieux's still taking home some hardware, as he's winning the Lady Byng. With 1 year left on his contract, this is Mario's last chance at a Stanley Cup. He needs to win now if he's ever going to win again. Age is finally starting to catch up with him, as he's recording less than a point a game with only 74 points. And Lemieux's final season with Chicago, we're going to finish with a 46-28-8 record, and they're ready to get themselves another Stanley Cup. And for the 3rd straight season in a row, Chicago's falling in the conference finals to the eventual Stanley Cup champions. Except this time, it was the Calgary Flames. Even as a 37-year-old, Mario continues to carry the team, recording 14 points in 18 playoff games. In the offseason, Lemieux would sign a 1-year contract with Detroit, and then the following year, he would sign a deal to play with the San Jose Sharks AHL team. At 39 years old, Mario Lemieux has decided it's time to call it a career and retire. So if you enjoyed this video, I definitely recommend checking the one out on screen, and if you haven't already, make sure to drop a like and subscribe.